Mark from Skywagon University, and today we're looking at this, well, I was going to make a joke about it being a Lancer or a Cirrus or something, however, it's a Arion Lightning. Very small, compact, sleek, little fun, light sport experimental plane. I'm not a guru on them and I can't get into exact numbers, but I know enough about it to be able to talk about it because we've got one here. So let's have a closer look at it and see what it's like. So we'll talk about how they're made, we'll talk about the engines, and then we'll take it up for a flight. So the Lightning, the standard Lightning like this is low to the ground, small propeller, and it's got a Jabiru 330 in it, 3300 in it, which is 3.3 litres. Flat six, and we'll take the cowl off and look at it. Flat six, air-cooled, direct drive, made in Australia, general aviation, air-cooled engine. So, and the propeller is a little composite. They're short, that's why it can be low. If this was the XS, this is a light sport and also a experimental. So this is 1,320 pound gross weight max, and it's 120 knot cruise max. But they do, this airframe is way faster than that. And we'll show you how it's built to be able to do that. But if this was the XS, it's taller with a longer propeller, and it can have various engines in it, Lycomings. It can have the Titan in it. It can have a very similar to a Lycoming 340 4-cylinder air-cooled direct drive. So the bigger the engine, the faster it goes. This does about 120. The big engine ones can do like 170. This burns 4 gallons an hour, and the ones with the 360s and the 340s in can do, you know, they burn about 9 gallons an hour. And also, this small one with the Jabiru in it has longer wings to allow it to fly more slowly to meet the requirements of light sport. And one of the challenges about this is being able to get it to 48 knots. It takes off and lands at 48 knots. You'd think, looking like that it would be way slipperier. And I fly a Mooney, and everyone says Moonies are slippery, can't slow them down, but it's still psychologically weird to get this below 50. But we'll fly it and have a look. So let's look at how it's made. So when you buy this kit, you don't have to lay down any fabric or lay down any composite or fiberglass or anything, or mix glues and resins. You get the wings and you get the fuselage assembled. The windows aren't in it, the canopy's not on it, but it looks like a plane. You put on the horizontal stabilizer, you put on the wings. The wings can be joined and fiberglassed in and faired in so that it's seamless, but that makes them hard to take off. And if you notice, the gear is in the fuselage, so if you took off a wing, it would still sit there. So this plane dinged its wingtip, and the owner just took off the wing, had it fixed, put it back on again. So it's got a little overlap here, which looks pretty nice, but if you fair it in, you'd have to sort of cut the gel coat and put it on again. So they're made, the two halves of the fuselage are laid up, formed in a mold, in a tool it's called, and then vacuum sealed to get all the air out of it, and then they're broken out of their mold, and then they're joined together. So you'd get it firewall to tail, no rudder, no elevator, complete fuselage, wings completely done with a grey gel coat on them, and then the control surfaces you have to fit. But there's a airframe kit, there's an engine, there's a firewall kit that you buy, and then obviously avionics and interior. So by the time, so this kit, if you bought this today, I think it's about $56,000. And the engine for the Gen 4 Jabiru 3300 is about $20,000. And then you've got to build it, put it in, paint it, buy radios, cover the seats in leather. So by the time you're finished, it's probably 115,000, and it's about 400 to 500 hours of work. And there is an a factory assist build center in Kentucky where you can have this done, and you go and help them, and it takes 2 or 3 weeks to get it to the point where it's almost flyable. But this plane has 88 hours on it since new, total, and it's a 2011. It just hasn't been flying much. I'm going to fly it today, and that's why the owner's selling it. But it's finished, and it's 75,000. So it's not, I just wanted to put that in perspective versus the kit price. So you get all this for 75 grand. The wings, there's a very interesting way that the inside here, the main spar comes in, and it's it tapers and they slide into each other, overlap, and then they're fastened in there. But there's a carry through in the bottom of the fuselage, a steel frame. It's not just bolted to fiberglass and gel coated in. There's a steel frame that bolts in that holds the wings on. So the wing assembly from tip to tip is incredibly strong in this, and it has to be because variants of it can do 180 knots. And also these, they are not molded part of here. The horizontal stabilizers and elevators slide in, slide out, and bolt on as well. So that's got a little frame in it too where it goes in. So they're very, very strong little planes. They bob around in the air like any light sport does. They're light on the controls, but tough. So let's have a look inside it, and then we'll look at the engine. So canopy open. These rams will hold it up, though I think they're a bit tired, because if I lowered it to halfway and let go, it would drop. So those would normally hold it. And the little strap is just so you can reach it and pull it down when you're in it, because you've got to be Nadia Comaneci to get in and out of it. But I'll show you how to do that too without stepping all over the seats. So it's 2 seats side by side, a little bit of a baggage area in the back here. Stick, very light on the controls. Dynon avionics, King transponder, and then there's the GRT, sorry, it isn't, it's GRT avionics. And the GRT engine management is here. And this is just a Garmin 700 series portable GPS. Starting it is so easy. You go, crack the throttle, turn the key, and it's running. And to shut it down, turn the key off like a car. There is mixture, but you don't use it really like mixture. You can lean it a little bit, but it's there if you have to lean it. Like if you were very high, but generally low down you'd leave it where it is. It has a choke, carb heat, cabin heater, and very good air vents. You can imagine with that bubble canopy, it's going to get hot with the sun on it. So you've got air vents here, you've got air vents here, 4 of them blasting you. And it takes off and lands at 48, 50 knots, the lightest of touch. 2 fuel tanks, left and right. It burns car fuel, high octane, you know, the top of the best car fuel, and avgas, and you can mix them. It doesn't really care which one you use. So let's shut this and we'll look at the engine. The cowling. And here's the engine. So you can't see the cylinders because they're underneath these plenums. A central case, it's billet aluminum, 6 cylinders, 3 each side, dipstick, direct drive, no gearbox, starter motor, engine mount. The mags are on the back of the engine on a spinning flywheel, so it's just like a regular magneto in a certified plane. It'll run with no electricity once it's started. There's an oil cooler, brake reservoir, starter solenoid, and various other parts that are essential. Dipsticks here. $120 horsepower out of 3.3 litres. I'm not sure what that is in cubic inches, but it's 3300 is 3.3 litres, and the 4-cylinder version of it is a 2200, and it's 2.2 litres, so it all makes sense. But that is very compact, and if this was the bigger engine version, it would have a different engine mount, different cowling, it would come out slightly wider, you'd have the 4-cylinder big Lycoming in here, and then a longer propeller and taller gear. It would stand up about this much higher for prop tip clearance. But these, they've had a bad reputation in the past for some failures, but generally they're good. It has its hydraulic lifters in it. You do have to torque the cylinder heads every 50 hours, but it's just a quick check, done. The Gen 4 engine that's now come out and is available does not need its cylinder heads torqued. And there's also, by Rotac, a conversion to put liquid-cooled heads on it, where you have a radiator, a pump, liquid-cooled heads with no vanes on them, and water circulating through it with a thermostat, just like in a car. And that really keeps the heads cool. But it's critical where these go and how much of the cylinder heads are under them to allow the airflow in, through, and down. So that's what she's like under the cowling. So I'm no gymnast, but this seems to be a good way of getting into it. So you can have the flaps down, which helps. You just step up on the wing, and then without stepping on the seat, foot in the footwell, lower yourself in, and it is very comfortable. And since we're here, this is trim, up, down, and this is flaps, up, down. And the flaps will show here by lit lights and an incremental stage here. Left is lower, right is retract. Very comfortable. Armrest, wider than a 172. Fun little plane. So let's fly it. So to start it, like I was saying earlier, you literally crack the throttle, pull out the choke, turn the key, and it just starts. And then to shut it down, idle, key off. Like a car. So we have RPM, oil pressure, oil temperature, airspeed, barometric pressure, everything's warming up. Also a nice little analog backup here. This engine likes to cruise at about 2700 RPM. Nothing like the Rotax's 5000 RPM or 4800 RPM because it isn't geared, but it's above the regular Lycoming Continental 2400. So a red line is at like 2850. Normal run up. Mag deck. On. Little bit of flat. Still on. Experimental 214 Delta Golf, departing runway 23, local flight, Placerville. Traffic, drop a 3 down to the right base 31, we'll load. Cruise traffic 1996 X3, 10 miles to northeast and down around Cleveland. Oh, very light on the controls, very light on the controls, very fine and simple. And it does take some, I mean I've only flown it once before this, but it does take a little bit of getting used to. Hang on, radio call. Placerville, 4 Delta Golf, left downwind 23 Placerville. It does take a bit of getting used to that it flies so soon compared to like Moonies and Pipers and Beaches and Cessnas. It's trying to get off the ground in the 40s, and it's settling back through its ground effects in the 40s. So I was kind of doing final at 60, and it works. But it's a very fun, sporty little nimble fun plane, it really is. I mean, to think you could buy something like this for, you know, half the price for 172, and it's basically got 18 hours on it. I'm doing 110 on downwind. I gotta slow this down. Okay, so throttle back, slowly. I'll do a slightly longer approach, give me some time to get it into flap speed.
Placido, 4 Delta Golf, left base, 23, Placido.
Flaps coming down.
Placido, 4 Delta Golf, final, full stop, 23, Placido.
Also, very, very good visibility. I mean, you're sitting on it. Now I'm just gliding. I'm at 60. I'm just idling. But it doesn't take much trim either to get everything to be very well balanced. I'm still not slow enough, but I'm going to let it slow down in its ground effect. And it's a long runway, so we'll just let it float. Touchdown at 38. Kidding. Brilliant, is all I can say. If I didn't need 4 seats and 140 knots, this would be a very nice, fun, local runaround, you know, for the 500-mile radius, go get 'em type deals. Flaps coming up. It's easier to get in and out with the flaps down, but I like the plane looks nicer with the flaps up, so I'll step that extra inch. This does everything. You can have all kinds of different screens, maps, you can have engine, you can have PFD, you can have manifold pressure, you can have your RPM and all pressure temps, or you just flick through whatever you need, does it all. And then shutting it down, I'm going to turn off the radios so you won't hear me, but I'll show you how to shut it down, watch. So this is Mark from Skywagon University. We just did a quick review on this Arion Lightning that we've got in. We're just not an everyday plane, but a very, very nice light sport and experimental type plane. We had a quick look around it and a quick flight of it. The key to it is to land it slowly, because it looks like it should be landing fast, but feel where it is and let it land at the speed it should land at. If you land too fast, it's going to be floating forever. We do these reviews on planes. There's probably 160 videos on different types, mostly certified. And then if you like them, watch them. We got subscription down here. We've got the bell for notifications, and we do podcasts too, where you can see those on the site, where we get interesting pilots, people with adventures they've had, people with events they've done, who would come in and talk to us, you know, for about 40 minutes with a cup of coffee, informally, just have a little chat. Call me if you want to do one of those or know someone. But thanks for watching, and there'll be a lot more of them.